Hello, future Boilermakers, and welcome to our YouTube live broadcast from the Department of Computer and Information Technology in the Polytechnic Institute of Purdue University. My name is Cathy Pullings, and I'm the Assistant Director of Diversity and Recruitment for the Polytechnic. I first want to congratulate our student viewers who have been admitted to one of our majors here in the Polytechnic. And we are so glad you can join us tonight for our panel discussion to give you some insight, information about the Department of Computer and Information Technology, which we always refer it as CIT quite often tonight. We have several faculty members and academic advisor, two of our CIT Industrial Advisor Council members, and two current students with us tonight who will be our panelists, and we will have them introduce themselves in a minute. We also have several topics and questions that we will ask them, but we also want you to know that you can submit questions via the YouTube chat window by signing into Google account and typing them in. Mark Holstrom, who is a current Purdue CIT student, and our technical director, John O'Malley, will be monitoring the chat. And we will do our best to answer your questions. If you don't get your questions answered tonight, please feel free to please feel free to send us a follow-up email to techrecruit@purdue.edu, and we will respond later on. Before we get to our discussion topics, I would like to introduce our panelists and have them introduce themselves. Let's start with professors who are here tonight. Will you please state your name and a little bit about the courses that you teach? Hello, Nicole. Let's start with you.
Hi, thanks, Kathy. I'm Nicole Hands. I am a clinical assistant professor, which is to say that my focus at the university is in teaching undergraduate and graduate level courses in both cybersecurity and in our networking related courses. So that's me, and I look forward to hearing and speaking with you tonight.
Thank you, Nicole. Good evening, Phil.
Hi, Phil Rawls. I am Associate Head for Undergraduate Academics as well as a faculty member in our infrastructure and networking areas. I teach mostly stuff in the space with system administration, network administration, and then network security.
Thank you. Hello, Kate.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathryn Seigfried-Spellar, and I'm an associate professor. And my area is also in cybersecurity, cyber forensics. Specifically, my research looks at the personality characteristics of cyber criminals.
We have our academic advisor with us this evening. Hello, Angie.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, I'm Angie Murphy. I'm a senior academic advisor in CIT. I am one of 4 academic advisors that you could potentially be assigned to. I want to say welcome. We're glad you're here. The 4 advisors have collectively about 50 years of Purdue experience. So if we don't know the answer, we probably know someone we could connect you with that can get you the answer. So that's what we're here for, to partner with you during your time in CIT and after. Thank you and welcome.
It's always great to have current students talk about their experiences at Purdue. Will you both please tell us your name, your major, and where you're from? Andrea, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Sanchez. I am majoring in Computer Information Technology General, and I'm from Panama.
All right. Good evening, Evan.
Hello, my name is Evan Holland, and I am majoring in Computer and Information Technology. I also have a minor in Theater Design and Production, and I am from Crown Point, Indiana, so up near Chicago.
Thank you. We are also especially glad to have 2 graduates from Computer and Information Technology with us tonight. Would each of you please tell us your name, when you graduated, where you work now, and a little bit about your job. Let's begin with you, Troy.
Hello, I'm Troy. I am an engineering manager at Microsoft, managing a software engineering and site reliability engineering team. My focus is running the Microsoft Defender big data and infrastructure team. This is a globally distributed team across the US, Canada, India, Israel, and now we're moving into Latin America. And then I graduated in 2013 from CIT with a focus on network and security.
And hello to you, Nicholas.
Hi, yes, I'm go by Nick. So, and I'm also a member of the Industrial Advisory Committee. So I enjoy serving in that capacity, helping with the faculty and directing the program. I'm a director at Eli Lilly and Company, a large pharmaceutical company based in Indianapolis. I'm in our IT group there, supporting our manufacturing operations. I do recruit a lot of CIT grads, so I always looking to hire out of the department. Over the years, we've hired about over 150 people from the curriculum. So it's a great program to come from. And I'm a CIT grad, I'd just say, from a long, long time ago.
Thanks, Nick. I'm looking forward to talking to all of you tonight. Just to remind our viewers, we often refer to the department by its nickname, which is CIT. One of the 4 majors within the department actually has the same name. When we are talking about CIT most of the time, we'll probably be referring to the whole department and all of its majors, but we will do our best to be clear. The department actually offers 4 majors. First, the Computer and Information Technology. That's the CIT major within the CIT department. Cybersecurity is the name of the next major. The 3rd major is called Computer Infrastructure and Network Engineering Technology. And the 4th major is called Systems Analyst and Design. Okay, let's dive right into our discussion about CIT department. Kate, Phil, and Angie, this first question is for you. How are most of the majors, specific courses in your department designed? Could you tell us about the things like lectures and labs, as well as group projects? So Kate, you want to start us off?
I was hoping you'd say Phil, but this works fine. Yeah, so I can say that I think we all would agree that the majority of CIT's courses are going to be lab-based. Now, I teach 2 courses, so one of my courses does have a lab and my other course does not, but it does include quite a bit of group projects and also individual work as well. And so I think the majority of our students end up working, especially in cybersecurity and in forensics, they end up working in teams. And so we like to build in that type of coursework, and specifically within the lab space as well, to make sure those students have those skill sets to work with other people within the program. Bill, do you want to jump on board?
I would just add that we're definitely an experiential learning program. Mm-hmm. So almost all of our courses are going to have labs. And lab is really where 2 things happen. Number 1, it really comes to life. And number 2 is when you get to learn that we're actually telling you the truth, that it actually does work the way we explained that it's supposed to work. Lab is also the place where you develop some really important skills that are going to be critical for you the rest of your career. And those skills are specifically in the area of troubleshooting, problem solving, and then learning how to teach yourself technology. If you look at where we are today, if you don't learn how to learn in this field, you're going to have a great 5-year career. And at the end of that 5-year career, we're going to be off on all sorts of new things. Everybody out there listening probably is carrying a cell phone, right? Cell phones didn't exist before 2008. Everyone who works on cell phones didn't graduate college after 2008. In fact, it was probably 2012 or so before we even had any majors or anyone was doing a lot of coursework on that who would have graduated. So you have to be agile, you have to be able to learn new things. And these are all items that are going to happen from that lab experience. You know, how to sort out problems when they come, you know, how to deal with a little bit of frustration. If you can't handle some frustration from computers, I would humbly submit this probably isn't a good place for you. Yeah, we've never really made anything as humanity more frustrating than a computer, although some of the parents out there might argue that a teenager is in the same ballpark. But nevertheless, the key thing is to make sure that you love this stuff, because that's what's going to make you successful. And if you do, and you come to Purdue, we will put you in an excellent place to have a long and satisfying career.
Angie, do you have anything you want to add?
As far as teaching, Nicole, did you want to add on that?
Sure. The one thing that I will add, because the question was about how our courses are developed, we discussed the fact that we have, a lecture component as well as a laboratory component, but I will not give a nod to our industrial advisory board here, and the fact that we try to stay relevant in the things that we teach by continuously talking to folks out in industry in order to make sure that we are staying relevant. So when we talk about staying agile, we want you to learn how to do that so you can practice that in your future career, but we also have to do it ourselves. Although there are obviously administrative hurdles to getting new majors and various other things going, but we're constantly creating new classes on new topics based on the needs of the students that have just exited our program and they say, man, I wish I'd had a class on this. Well, let's make one, and that sort of thing. So that's another source of course input.
Okay. We have our first question. Transitioning from high school, what should we keep in mind while dealing with academics in our first semester? So, Angie, do you want to answer that one?
Sure, I can start. The transition will be definitely different than high school. I'm sure the students can attest to that. So my advice is, as you transition, as soon as you get to Purdue and receive that syllabus from your faculty, from your instructor, add those dates to the calendars, those homework due dates, those test dates. The faculty don't get together and plan exams on the same day, but sometimes that happens. And sometimes students think faculty really do it on purpose, but they don't. I don't think they don't. But so my advice is add those dates to your calendar, stay organized, stay on top of things, complete your assignments on time, and have a method to keep track of everything on your own. We're here to empower you. We're your partners. But we won't be reminding you when your homework's due, things like that, because as an advisor, I don't know. I can give you the resources and suggest that you do that. And I will say it's not really a suggestion, it's necessary.
I think this is a good question to lead in with our students. Andrea, please tell us about your projects and your labs that you've done. And is there one that comes to mind as your favorite?
So there are so many projects, like small projects that we do in class. So I've had several of those. I would say they're really fun because you learn to work with teams and you build some ability to with the content of the course. So I would say my favorite one for now, if I have to choose, would be database management because we had a large project to work on with several other students. So it was very helpful to learn some SQL, and I think it was very fun. But there are a lot of other labs that I really enjoyed, like in C# and my cybersecurity class that I'm taking right now. I would say everything's very entertaining, and it really helps you learn like the content of what they really want you to learn.
Okay. Evan, the same question for you.
Yeah, all of our labs have amazing projects incorporated into them, so you're always working on really relevant material to your classes. One project that stands out in particular happened during my technology architecture class. It's a class you'll take your first year here at Purdue. Professor Hands actually teaches it, so that she's in the broadcast is kind of cool. But I did a project where I developed a smart mirror. And so you would say, I'm not going to say the word in case anybody has this device nearby, but the Amazon smart device that is listening, it had that device built into it. And so when you would say it, the screen would pop up through the mirror, lights would go up on the side. And that project was really cool because it was a lot of problem solving. Nothing seemed to want to work together. There was software development involved, getting the coding to work. There was architecture involved. You know, where do I plug this LED in to the Raspberry Pi to make it light up on time? And at the end of it, I have this product that now I can keep and like store in my bathroom. And so now I can use this smart mirror whenever I get ready in the morning.
Okay. Phil, what are some new innovations you see coming to the field, and how are these being implemented in CIT and its majors?
Well, if you look at IT, you know, the one thing that's always fun about this is you get to do new stuff all the time, right? Sometimes I kind of envy our colleagues over in math who, once you figure out how to teach something, you can do it forever, and I guess your golf game gets better. We're not in a position where we can do that. We're learning new things all the time. In fact, I would say that there's probably only 10 to 15% of the things that I teach today are the things that I was teaching 15 years ago, right? Because all this stuff is constantly changing. So when you look at that and say, what are the really new areas and the exciting things that we're getting into? In the last few years, we've taken what started out as a small area in cybersecurity that was associated with one of our majors, and we started having some more courses, and we grew that into a major. Our new major that's going to be coming online here next is one in data analytics. It's called Data Analytics Technologies and Applications. It makes for a really good acronym. And that is going to be coming online soon. And so we're spending a lot of time and effort on bringing that up to speed. Beyond that, we're doing a lot of work in the Internet of Things space. That now, what's really interesting about that is that's very cross-disciplinary, because that's not only information technology, but that also applies to some of our colleagues over in electrical and electronic engineering. You know, all the pieces on learning the different aspects of the speakers and any cyber physical systems, things that plug in, robots, those sorts of things. Think like a Roomba, electronic broom, those kind of deals. Those are some of the things that we're really interested in right now in terms of big picture. If you look at smaller picture, there's all sorts of new technologies happening even within our existing majors on a regular basis. You know, the technology that might have been the go-to for a certain aspect today, 3 years from now, that's gone, and there's something new that's taken its place. So there's constantly churn within those spaces, and then we're constantly adding additional electives or selectives that you can take beyond the core required curriculum, so you can tailor your classes a little bit for what you want. And then we're also looking at bringing on those new majors in those new areas.
I know that this question comes up a lot, Phil, and any of the other professors. So what would you say the best computer recommendations for our incoming students to use?
I'll take that one. If you were going to start today, just go get anything that's an Ultrabook specification. So anything that's an Intel-based Ultrabook will be fine. Personally, I would get at least 16 gig of RAM, but at least 8. Go for at least a quad-core processor. Today I wouldn't buy less than probably half a terabyte of solid-state drive. Solid-state drive, do not buy a spinning disk. Not a need for that. Weight's a big deal, and battery life's a big deal. You know, that big desktop replacement gaming laptop might seem great until it's in your backpack for 8 hours all day long, and that big beautiful screen sucking the battery dead, and so you're having to find somewhere to plug in the middle of the day. You know, you're going to have Wi-Fi, you're going to have Bluetooth, all that in just about anything that you buy. So those are the key things. If you're coming to Purdue, do not buy Office. You'll be able to get it for practically free when you get here. So don't invest in Office. You'll get an Office 365 subscription. And then the other thing that people sometimes ask is, what else do I need besides the computer? Other things that are good to have: handful of thumb drives. You'll always have a need for those. Buy the USB 3 ones, the fast ones. Fast is good. People talk about printers. Don't buy inkjets. Inkjets are like setting $20 bills on fire. Go get yourself one of the little Brother $98 black and white laser printers. They're faster, they're quicker, do a much better job. And if you need color, there are color printers on campus you can get to if you need those things. And there's certainly no need to put a Wi-Fi. Some people ask about, should I get a cellular modem in a laptop? No real need to do that on campus. Campus has excellent Wi-Fi coverage everywhere, even out in the middle of the grassy areas. You can usually connect to Purdue AirLink or PAL, so there's no need to invest in that.
Okay, thank you so much, because that does come up. Go ahead.
I can also add that we'd say Macs were good, but Macs now are a little questionable as they move to the Apple Silicon, because we use a lot of software that is Windows only, and we do a lot of virtualization in some of our classes. So I would avoid one of those new Macintoshes that has the Apple chip on it, the ARM chip. At least for now, I would not advise purchasing one of those. If you get one of the older MacBooks that's still an Intel processor, that would be fine.
Great. We have a couple more questions coming in from our chat. Where can you find or have options for taking minors? What are your typical minor requirements? Anybody want to answer that?
Angie, you want to take that one, or do you want me to? Angie seems to be stuck in mute. Oh,
Okay, I'm unmuted. Minors, yes, they are required for 2 of our majors, the CIT major and the systems analysis and design. So actually, we'll have you start thinking about that very early on when we start working with you for V-Star, which we'll get into hopefully a little bit more later, because it is required to meet your interdisciplinary selectives. Those are the courses you get to choose. Anything you're interested in, A to Z, you can add that minor to your major. They are optional on cybersecurity and computer infrastructure, but a lot of students do go ahead and pursue that minor. Maybe they've brought in transfer credit, AP credit, and so they need some extra spaces to be a full-time student every semester. Probably the most popular minors would be management, organizational leadership, psychology, sociology, law and society, forensic sciences. But that doesn't mean that's the minor you need to pursue. We're here to help you tap into your passions and what do you want to minor in. Maybe you want to go to work in healthcare. Maybe you want to work in a lab at Lilly, so you need more chemistry. At least you can talk the talk when you go to work for Nick, and you'll have knowledge in that field as a technology specialist. Where do you get the requirements? For your catalog term, they will be available June 1st. Purdue has an online catalog, and you can find that at catalog.purdue.edu. And you would search on the minor requirements for the term that you're admitted.
And that's one of the beauties of being in IT is everything needs a computer, right? So you can minor in literally anything other than computing. We don't allow you to minor in other computing related majors. We want you to learn some other field to which you can apply your computing disciplines. And we have had people all over the place. In addition to the ones that Angie talked about, communication is popular. The entrepreneurship certificate is popular for people, especially if they're interested in perhaps getting into software development. Aspiring app writers out there like that one. But we've had people take theology, ROTC, agriculture, you name it. Once again, computing applies to everywhere. It's one of the nice things is if you like computing, but you also have some other interest, you can minor in that other interest. Then you can perhaps go into be a computing professional in that other field. And so you can scratch both of those itches in your career.
Thanks for saying that, Phil. So students know certificates or minors can meet those degree requirements.
Angie, you want to just briefly talk about Think Summer because, we have another question about, after I graduate from high school, to prep for my first semester at Purdue, what can I do? So my first thought was Think Summer. So if you want to talk about Think Summer.
Absolutely. If you are admitted for the fall semester, Purdue will invite you to start your classes in the summer session, and that's called Early Start. And you can take classes at Purdue. We have a lot of online classes that are available through Think Summer. We have many different dates that the classes start. May 17th is a start date for some of our current students. I don't think that would work for many high school students, but we have some classes that don't start until mid-July. So that gives you time to participate in our orientation program and then take a class once you've met with us. Or there are some classes that start June 14th. So we would want to meet with you very early on to get you enrolled in those summer courses. So when admissions sends you a message asking you if you'd like to start early, you certainly can. They just change your admit term to summer instead of fall.
And I would add that this summer, especially, a lot of our summer courses are going to be offered online. We usually offer some online during the summer, but due to the pandemic situation, almost all of our classes are going to be online this summer. So that might be a little more viable for you than even in normal circumstances.
Okay. Nicole or Kate, we're getting a question in about programming language that students need to learn first. And then what's the recommended amount of programming language one should be well versed before the beginning?
So I'll start by saying that our programming classes are really designed to take you from true beginner level. So if you've never done any programming before, our 100 level programming class will start you out at a place where you can be comfortable and be successful. And if you come in with some programming experience, you can opt to try and either transfer in your AP credit or whatever to meet that course's requirement, or you could try to test out of that course and move into a higher level. So as far as needing to have something before you start is concerned, I would say that you do not need to know anything about programming before you come. I would say that we do have several programming classes that are required throughout the course of the degree, and you'll learn a couple of different languages in those. So if it's the sort of thing you see yourself doing in the future, you would like to write code, I would say that it would be a good idea to start to see how well you can teach yourself how to code, because that's, as we talked about, the fact that things change all the time. Programming languages that are in vogue change all the time. Libraries that are used by those programming languages change all the time. And so you're going to want to know how to learn. So it seems clear to me that if you wanted to work on that at any point in time, if programming is your larger goal, that you should be working on that. But that is to say, learning how to teach yourself how to code and work in new things. But our program teaches you a base level of programming just to create a well-rounded IT professional. But coding is not really the focus of a computer information technology major. it's we can write code, we can write scripts, we can do all of those things, but it's more taking the tools that have been written and applying them to solve IT problems. That is the larger goal of CIT. Phil, would you like to add anything to that, or did I do a pretty good job?
No, I think you did a fantastic job, Nicole. The only thing I would add is I think there was part of the question was what language. Our introductory programming language that we use for that first course that Nicole mentioned that you may test out of if you have some experience, and you're certainly welcome to attempt that, is in Python. And then we also have a course in Java. And depending on what major you're in, you may take a course in C. So we have those three languages that you're going to hit. One of the things we want to make sure we do is kind of guide you through a programming language change one time, because as Nicole quite correctly points out, you know, it's going to change forever and ever. I can tell you the first programming course I took was in Fortran many years ago. I see Nick smiling. That may have been COBOL back in that day. But nevertheless, the thing is, we aren't writing code in those things anymore, right? The languages change. You know, it might be for phones in Swift. It might be Objective-C. Who knows what we're going to be using in these various different things and what we'll be using in the future. The good thing is the concepts are the same. A lot of the differences are syntactical. And so once you understand how to make those changes, it's not a super big deal to change.
Okay, thank you. So one of the hallmarks of Purdue Polytechnic is how our students get a lot of real-world experience. Examples include working on class projects with an industry sponsor and going on internships. Our CIT department has what is called the Industrial Advisory Council, which keeps us connected with what's happening in the real world, and we can help students be ready for it. So I'm betting our graduates can tell us why this is so important. So let's start with you, Nick. Would you please tell us a bit about the CIT's Industrial Advisory Council and what you do as a member of the council?
Sure. Yeah, I've actually been a member of the council for several years now. We get together a couple of times a year with the faculty. We talk about changes that they're proposing to make to the curriculum. So there's some reviews, some discussion of that. And we also share feedback, you know, in terms of what's important to be teaching, how to keep current, kind of how things are going across the university. So I think it's a good two-way discussion on kind of where to take the curriculum. And you know, over the years, I have seen our team of folks across the council make some suggestions, and the CIT faculty incorporate that in, and really been an ever improving program.
Okay. Troy, let's talk about your role. What do you do with CIT at Purdue as part of your job at Microsoft?
Yeah, so early on, some of the students are sharing about their favorite labs, and that's a big reason of why we recruit at Purdue, and specifically within the CIT major and its disciplines. The hands-on learning that they get within the labs focused on cybersecurity, information technology, building systems together, very few programs in the nation have that. Learning how to, and then furthermore, Purdue takes it a step further about how to document writing, setting goals, achieving those goals, working with others. Part of me and Nick's roles on the Industrial Advisory Board is to show what we do in our industry and our company and make sure that it's being reflected back in the actual course and hands-on learning that's occurring day to day at Purdue. So if we're moving into .NET Core, Kubernetes, Spark, big data, like helping influence the curriculum and the learning that's happening in these labs. So the students, when they're going and looking for internships, they have the buzzwords and keywords on their resumes, which is more up to date, and not using legacy mainframe languages that aren't really out there anymore besides in a few banks.
Okay. We have another question, and Phil, if you can talk about the gateway, the new building that is going up. This is just a general question about labs, classes, what buildings they will be taking place in.
Certainly. If you look at the CIT lab space, we have several classes in Conoy, which is our home where the faculty are. We also have a laboratory facility over in Hevelon Hall, which is just a couple of buildings over, or as one of my colleagues says, halfway to Starbucks. And we have a lot of courses that get taken that take place over in there. We have research labs that are a little more distributed. We are going to get a new teaching laboratory in the Gateway building when it's done. It's going out right outside my window. That's, I guess, the one good thing about the timing of the pandemic was we weren't on campus when they were tearing down the old buildings. So we got to miss all the dust and the mess and the noise from that. So I guess that was a small little bright spot on that. But in those classes, you'll do all the things where we have specific hardware that are really native to CIT. So this is where you're going to get your networking courses, your forensics courses, your IoT courses, if you're taking any of those electives on mobile coding, robotic programming, those kind of things. In addition to that, we have a lot of other courses where we use general computing labs on campus. We call them ITAP labs here, which is IT at Purdue, because Purdue IT would be the pits, so it's ITAP. And we use those labs in a lot of our coding courses, in our database courses, systems analysis and design courses, and those are really scattered all over campus. So you will get the opportunity to go to some of those other places. And that's also something worth noting in lecture space. Most of our lectures are going to be in various lecture halls around campus. So it's not as if you're going to spend your entire lifetime inside a Conoy Hall. You're going to get the chance to go out and see campus, which is great in September and April, sometimes in January, maybe not so great. But it is nice even in those winter months to get a chance to get out and walk across campus, get a little fresh air and a little bit of exercise.
Does CIT have a senior capstone project requirement, and does your department have those incorporated in the plan of study? Bill?
We do not have a formal industry-sponsored capstone project. We have an overall capstone for all majors, which is our project management course, because everything in IT is a project. And then each of our majors has a capstone course that brings together all of the aspects of that particular major into one final course. In our infrastructure and networking program, that's the network security course, because you bring network engineering, systems analysis, system administration, as well as network administration, containerization, virtualization, all that come to play in that course. In our cybersecurity program, that's our pen testing course, where you take all of those underlying pieces and how do you go about it? How do the bad guys attack? How do you do those things? We have to understand that mindset so we can be on the other side of the fence. In systems analysis and design, we have an advanced design course where students will do case studies and build those aspects up. So we have those places where we bring all that information together within each major, and then that project management course overlies everything. So you'll get all those students from all the majors back together again in 480. Oftentimes in your early classes, you're going to be mixed up with people from all the other majors. Then you sort of go your own way in the middle, and then you come back together at the end. And that's one of the great things about that class, is because you do on those large projects, you now have people who have different focuses that are all bringing that different focus into that project that they do in that particular class. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't get any chance to interact with industry in our program. We have a required professional IT experience requirement. And in this one, you go out and you can do an internship, you can do volunteer work, you could work for the university in an IT perspective. We ask you to have 260 hours of time spent in a professional IT environment so that you understand how status meetings work and how communication goes. and how you have to interact with other people there. Under normal circumstances, this is not a problem for anyone to get that. It's been a little tricky here amidst the pandemic, especially last summer. A lot of internships were canceled. So we worked out some different ways that we could do that and make sure that people were able to move through the program and be successful. But that's a great opportunity for people to go out and do that. And in fact, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that one of the other cool things about being in IT is the university runs a really big IT operation, right? To keep track of a university, you have to have that. So we have a lot of students who work for ITAP or some of the other computing departments on campus. And so that's a really neat way that you can earn some extra money throughout the year and fulfill those requirements all at the same time. If you were in aerospace engineering, you know, we're not making rockets or airplanes in West Lafayette. It's a little harder to get that experience around your class schedule. But in computing, it's really easy to do so.
Troy, do you want to talk about your, you said you had worked on 2 jobs?
Yeah, while I was at Purdue, the benefit is, as Phil was saying, is there's a really large IT shop across many different dimensions. One of my roles was working on the information security and network security. So looking at like what bad guys were doing just on our internal networks as a student. And that really helped me land a job on the Defender team at Microsoft, which does the same thing. And then I learned, and then we had a project management course, which they were rolling out SharePoint across the whole campus and all that goes along with that. So, and they're paying jobs. So they were definitely a benefit of having a little bit of extra money on campus.
Thank you. I know, Evan, you've also had internship opportunities. You want to talk about yours?
Yeah, I interned this last summer. It was a virtual internship, but it still happened. It was a software engineering internship with Amazon. I don't know if you've heard of them. And so during the internship, as computer programming is not one of the focuses of our department, but I had done some work just on my own because I enjoy that software development lifecycle. And with the understanding and the knowledge from CIT that I could bring to the project and understand how to connect to a database, you know, which database solution to use for our prototype that we are creating. And during one-on-one with my managers, a lot of times these concepts that I was learning in class or the things that I would know, even after my short time here, I'm only a sophomore right now, so this happened after my freshman year. The knowledge that I've had already from those classes landed me actually a return offer. And so I'm interning with them again in their operations department this coming summer. So if that doesn't tell you that CIT is teaching relevant material and that companies love it, I don't know what does.
All right. Nick, you have something to add as well, too.
Yeah, I was going to say from an intern standpoint, we did our intern program virtually last year. I had a CIT summer intern that we've just hired. So it's great. He learned a lot. He did very well through the summer.
A lot of internship opportunities. Thank you. Nicole, can we talk about the Capstone project in cybersecurity?
Sure. Yeah, so I will just say that on that last topic, that many students have a really good problem in that they have more job offers than they can take. And oftentimes their internships turn into permanent job offers, and that's like test driving a job. So you get to know if that's actually someplace you want to work long term. So a lot of students will take an internship and then decide that it really, even though they've gotten a job offer, that it really wasn't for them. So they're looking for other opportunities after. So that these are good things. As far as the cyber capstone is concerned, so when we first started to create the cybersecurity major, we were working on creating a 2-semester capstone. And so we had a defensive security class at the top level and the 400 level in incident response. And then we had a offensive security class in pen testing, vulnerability assessment. And so you kind of, we color code the offensive and defensive, where offensive gets the color of red and defensive gets the color of blue. So we have red team and blue team across those 2 different semesters. And so depending on various different things in the incident response class, the way that it's one of the classes that I teach. The way that we do this is that the students build an information system. They have a context that they're working in. It's a business. Generally speaking, I want it to be a critical infrastructure type business so that there's a high availability need. And then they endure some cyber attacks and have to respond to those. And so that's the sort of thing that they do there.
Okay, thank you. We were talking about, internships and everything, but we forgot to mention about the career fairs. So if Angie, if you want to talk about the career fairs for these students to be able to get these internship opportunities.
Awesome. And Andrea may be able to talk about it a lot as well because she's on the CIT Student Council. So CIT, in conjunction with a student organization called AITP, hosts a computing roundtable every fall. And that happens very quickly once you come back to classes in the fall. So we even encourage incoming freshmen to go. I'm not sure if it'll be virtual this coming year or not, but that's what we've had to do this last year. But we still want you to get involved in these career fairs early so that you know what the companies are looking for, how those rotations could go with different organizations, and start to get a feel for maybe what you want to do, and most importantly, to network with these folks out in industry. Maybe you have no experience as a freshman when you come in, but you've met people at a career fair. And sometimes students get frustrated because they say they just want me to submit my resume. Well, they have ways to remember you, and they are coming back year after year to hire Purdue students. I know the 2 alumni in this meeting right now come back year after year to find more students with experience like they have. So we do encourage students to get involved very early with the career fairs. So that's the fall one that the Polytechnic, specifically CIT, hosts. And then in February, the Polytechnic hosts a college-wide career fair. But those are not the only 2 on campus. The Center for Career Opportunities hosts many different career fairs. You'll have that as a task as a new student of signing up for your MyCCO account, where you can apply to companies right through Purdue University's Center for Career Opportunities. So we do recommend that you get involved with that. Complete that task on your new student task list as soon as possible. Even if you don't think you have any computing experience, you're starting to network, you're learning how the process works.
Okay.
Andrea, would you like to add to that with the career fair? I think the CIT Student Council helps with the career fair as well.
Yes, so we do help in arranging the career fair, the computing career fair on fall with AITP. And there's a lot of companies that come to that career fair. And I would encourage every freshman to go and practice, even if you are not wanting to get an internship that summer. I think it's great practice. And AITP and CIT Council, we arrange career fair workshops so you can be more prepared and more confident when you go and talk to recruiters. So I would encourage everyone to attend those workshops. It's really fun, and you get to know recruiters beforehand as well.
Okay, thank you. Kate, what type of research opportunities are available for our undergraduate students?
Absolutely. So Purdue has several opportunities available, and I'll just list a couple of them. So one of them is the DURI project. It's Discovering Undergrad Research Internship. And essentially, faculty can submit projects, and then students are able to apply to those projects. And we interview them, and if selected, that student actually gets paid to work on that research project with the faculty members. So I've done that several times, and I've actually had quite a few of those projects end up with publications where the student ends up having their name on that research article. And there's other ones. One is called the OUR, which is the Office of Undergrad Research. And that is a very similar one. It's usually about 12 months, though, so it can be a full year or maybe just the 2 semesters during the school year. And that one is another one where students can actually be paid as well. And so again, that one tends to be more student driven. And so I've seen students come and, come into my office hours, and maybe they've taken a class with me, or the nice thing about CIT is that we all know each other's research areas really well. And so faculty will know to send students to me that are interested in more cyber criminal profiling or in law enforcement and digital forensics. And so I'll work with that student to come up with a project that they're interested in. That student can then get class credit through an independent study if they wish, and that counts towards their cybersecurity selectives, for instance. And then we apply for an OUR, and hopefully that funds then the student to work on that project for, like I said, about 9 to 12 months. But the final one I'll mention, and this one is because I think it's really great for students that are interested in either double majoring or trying to graduate a little more quickly, is there's one called the Summer Stay Scholars Program. And that's a program where Purdue actually covers your tuition to stay on campus for the summer, to do research with a faculty member, and then you get to take classes. So again, if you're interested in double majoring and you want to be able to do that in 4 years easily without overloading your other semesters, or maybe you want to try to graduate in 3.5 semesters, then that's a really great program as well. And I've actually had students do that so they could bank courses for their graduate program, for instance. So that's another great opportunity. Again, Purdue really is pushing undergrad research. And I will say that all of our faculty really love working with undergrads. And I teach a research methods class as well. And so quite a few students will come through there, and I'll end up working with them one-on-one on a research project.
Great. Thank you. Students, when they're in school, they have problems with, academics, or just needing to get help. They might struggle. And so, Nicole or Angie, you want to talk about, students struggling with courses, where to go to get help in various offices on campus.
Sure thing. First of all, the Polytechnic sponsors a mentoring/tutoring program that's free. We will provide you that information during your V-STAR orientation. But we do always recommend work with your professor. Don't be shy to ask that question. If you have that question, someone else has it. Don't struggle alone. And if you've already worked with your professor, you can't get the concepts, and you really want that individual help, we do have tutoring and mentoring programs all over campus, as well as the Student Success Center. So your advisor can help get you in touch with those different resources. But do work with your faculty, work with your TAs. That's what they're here for. I will just share a personal story. I'm a first-generation student. When I went to college, I was afraid to ask a question. I was in a computer lab, and the instructor tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're behind, you need to get help." So I did. And so the instructors are here for you, the TAs are here for you, advisors are here for you. Please don't hesitate to ask for resources that you need, because that's what we're here for.
The one thing that I'll add is that I think the word professor is like this big, scary, formal sort of thing. And really, we're just people. And so we're often more approachable than you might think. And so while there might seem to be some distance between student and professor, there are office hours, which are the sort of thing that happen every week. And the professor is going to be in their office in order to be able to receive students. And so attend office hours if you're having trouble. And if the office hours time that are set don't work for you, email the professor and ask for a personal time to meet. And almost everybody that I know would be happy to bend over backwards to help you if you are struggling. And so that is just the way that we do things. We don't want you to struggle because students tend to make bad choices when they struggle too much. And so we want to provide you the amount of help you need in order to be able to succeed appropriately.
I would add to Nicole's point that when it comes to office hours, stop by and say hello early in the semester, right? Then if you have trouble late, you're going to get a much better reception than when, as a professor, you're sitting there and you've had office hours, no one's shown up, you're doing other things. And then it's the week before the exam and there's 72 people outside of your door, right? So who gets the most attention in those scenarios? The people who have been stopping by and asking questions along the way. Those are the ones that you're going to be able to be more effective working with. So at least stop by your faculty member's office and say hello, right? Early on. That will go a long way to establishing a rapport and a relationship.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in as well, Phil. That's exactly what I was going to say. They're not called help hours, so they're office hours. So swing by, see us, and it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the course content. I talk a lot about my law enforcement background or about the high-tech crime unit, which is a digital forensics unit that we have on campus that students are really interested in learning more about. And so sometimes it's more related to internship ideas or graduate school questions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the topic that we discussed yesterday's class, right? And again, we love to get to know you, and sometimes we have a large class that makes it a little bit more difficult. And so the students that we get to know are the ones that pop in and say hi, just like Phil said.
Great. We have, we've heard from our students, but let's talk about Andrea and Evan. Let's talk about the student organizations that you're involved in. So Andrea, if you want to start first with the student organizations that you are involved in.
Yes, so there are many organizations at Purdue. I'm involved with I'm the president of the CIT Student Council right now. In there we do all type of events like professional development or socials, and also some volunteering opportunities that we do. And then I also am part of the web development club. They do workshops of HTML, those type of languages. And as for outside of the CIT department, I'm part of LSU is Latin Student Union, and there are conferences there from about Latin American women, there are entrepreneurs, and there are also like very fun social events. Yeah.
Okay, Evan.
Yeah, I'm involved in the Association of IT Professionals at Purdue. It's an organization aimed at taking technology students and making them into industry-ready professionals. And so they do like resume reviews, practice internships. They also help set up the computing career fair here on campus. And so it's a great way to get those industry connections and just try and get you career ready. I'm also a student ambassador. Obviously, that's why I'm on this call. I love talking about my major. I love meeting with prospective students and telling them all about Purdue. And then I also am a very extroverted person, and I like talking with people. And so I'm a part of the Purdue University Dance Marathon. We raise money all year for our Children's Miracle Network Hospital, Riley Hospital in Indianapolis. And then at the end of the year, we have this huge 18-hour dance marathon with Riley kids. And we just celebrate, and it's so fun. I'm also on the Purdue Swim Club because freshman 15 is real, so you got to stay active as much as you can. It's also just a great way to meet people. One of the things I say about college is you're not just going to classes here, you're living here for 4 years, so it's important that you make those connections and just have a good time when you're here. It's so easy to make this big campus seem small. It's not always easy to make a small campus feel big. And that's one of the things I love about Purdue. There's so many opportunities, but it's also so easy to make those connections and really just find your place here.
Great. Thank you. Troy and Nick, I want to talk to both of you again. Tell our audience about how your time at Purdue helped you to be ready for your career. So, Troy, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as like a lot of the stuff we talked about today, the hands-on learning, talking with professors, going to office hours, doing career fairs, being a part of clubs like AITP, ambassadors, even doing intramurals, like that all kind of helps build on top of each other. And like when they talked about having minors, like not just doing something that you're good at or want to explore. Like I took communications. I was really bad at talking to people and I minored in communication. And that really helped me once I got into Microsoft and I had to start speaking to executives or building documentation. And another thing I didn't want to do is I never wanted to be a developer. CIT forced me to take coding classes and I absolutely hated it for like the first couple of weeks. And then I was like, oh, this is actually not as bad as I thought it was. And then everything I've done since leaving Purdue has really been the foundational learning I got from coding has now applied nearly in every part of my job each week. And the management side is like, I look at faculties as managers and like how they kind of run the department, how they run their courses. You get a lot of kind of hands-on experience of just kind of working and being coached and being mentored for a real life career. And so that method really was effective once I got into, I had 3 internships at Purdue and then ultimately landed at Microsoft. And just that combined experience from being in clubs, traveling, working on campus jobs, just really helped me like gear up to a full-time career.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, we did a lot of things in teams in CIT, and that team experience and how to work together to work on something was fundamental. And I think also the practical application of what I learned at Purdue to be able to go, come to Lilly right out of college and apply that right away was great. And I actually think that of students we've hired from a lot of different curriculums from a lot of different schools around the world, the CIT curriculum really sets people up for success right out of the blocks. So it's been great.
Okay, thank you. Phil or Angie, apart from internships, how many paid projects do CIT get every year that can benefit student participation in turn to ease their fee burden?
I'm not real sure I understand the question, but in terms of ways that you can earn some money while you're here, if that's the gist of the question, there are opportunities that we've covered in terms of working on campus. At ITAP or some of those other areas, there's a lot of opportunities there. There are opportunities for to work as a grader or an undergraduate assistant in some of the classes, and in some of our lower division classes, 100, 200 level classes, we hire our upper division students to help out in the labs and to do grading and help with those aspects. There are opportunities in some of the paid research items that Kate was talking about earlier with sponsored research. So there's opportunities there. There are opportunities, summer internships, obviously, a lot of times people make very good money over the summer during that internship, and they use that to help offset some of their variable costs throughout the year. And some of those internships, depending on what you're doing, and I don't remember if Troy did this or not, but I know some of your colleagues did, that led to the chance to do some work throughout the year for that company that you had interned with. So you can do some remote work for them even after your internship is done. So there's opportunities to get some funding from those things as well. So just like anything else, when you have a skill set that's in high demand, you can find ways to monetize that.
Thank you.
And that can be student employment, that can be work study that's sponsored through financial aid as well.
Yep, thank you. So you both were right where the student was asking about, offsetting that cost. So yes, great information. Before we finish our conversation tonight, I always like to ask everyone to give some type of advice for students who are our future students, and those that are just on the fence of, deciding to accept our offer. And so what advice would you have for future students? And so we're going to start with Kate.
Wow. So we already mentioned some things like get to know your professors, come to office hours. But the big thing I will tell you is kind of what Evan was saying earlier, that you're going to have so many opportunities on Purdue's campus. There are a lot of clubs, a lot of different organizations to get involved in. And but find out what works best for you. And Phil and I've had this conversation in the past of, when I was a student, I treated it like a job. I kind of worked from 9 to 5, and I never pulled an all-nighter. I never studied too much over the weekend unless I had a Monday exam. And that's how I got through school. But that doesn't work for all students. Some students like working late hours and then sleeping during the day. That just wasn't for me. So I would say find what works for you. And remember that, this is the start of what's a career, not a job. And so, again, get those internships, ask for advice, ask questions, and we are here to help you succeed. And then we are so excited when we see you succeed. And we love when we get emails from our students letting us know how they're doing.
Thank you. Nicole.
So I have just been chewing on a couple of ideas about what to say here. And one of the things that I will add to what Dr. Kate just said is that school is a job, and your degree is basically the payment of you earn for the work that you put into your degree. So when you come, you're going to be asked to work hard. The challenges we're going to give you are not easy. If you're not challenged, we're not doing our job right. So be ready to work, and however you need to manage your time to make that happen, it's fine. You pull all-nighters, whatever works for you. Some people need that stress and whatever to find their motivation. You do you. However, you're going to need to work. So just recognize that. I know it sounds like an annoying, naggy thing to say, but I'm recognizing a trend of people who just think that they can just show up to class and get given a degree, and it doesn't work that way. So please be prepared to put some effort in, because you're earning this thing. We don't give it to you, you earn it.
Thank you. Phil.
Well, that's a good point. I'm trying to figure out how I follow that up. I would say if I looked at a prospective student, and I have a couple of children that are right about that age, about ready to go off to college, and it's like, well, what are my words of wisdom to have you be successful? We've covered some of it before, but number one, get to know your faculty as people, not just as the figurehead at the front of the room. Get to know them as people, because you have questions, they can help. They know other people, right? You say, gosh, I have this. Well, I know someone who's in that area. Let me put you in touch with them. You can open all sorts of doors with just simple conversations there. But I think the number one predictor of if you are going to be successful is how well you learn to manage you. Nicole commented, you do you, right? If you're a night person, be a night person. That's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But make sure that you know how to segregate your time. Time management is the absolute number one skill that will predict your success in college and beyond is the ability to take that period of time, break it up, and apply it to the things you need to get done. And when I add the things you need to get done, you time is a very important part of that as well, right? So I always looked at finals week, and I would grid out my finals week when I was an undergrad, and I'd be like, okay, I got an exam here, I'm studying for this, then I'm doing this, and this afternoon I'm going to go play basketball. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going on a bike ride. I'm getting outside because I got to build some downtime in, and you have to have that balance. And especially during this time we live in right now, where the borderline between work and not work seems to be awfully porous, which is always awfully porous when you're in college, but it's even more so now. You've got to take some time to take care of yourself. And we have lots of resources on campus to help with that. And there are study skills courses, there are time management courses through the Dean of Students office. There is support for people who may not be feeling okay and may have some stress. We have all those things here. Make yourself available of them, but just learn how to manage your time and then get to know people. If you don't leave this campus with 3 or 4 friends that you're going to get together with 35 years later and exchange pictures of your kids and go to a football game and cook a burger and drink a beer, you did it wrong, right? That's a really important part of college.
Thank you. Angie.
All right. That's all great advice. I loved hearing all of that. How do I follow that up with? Except for the fact that what they said, I can't stress that enough. We all work together. We work with the faculty. So not only follow the instructions that your faculty give you in your classes, when your advisor reaches out to you to schedule your appointments for registration, follow up with your advisor. Don't have us reaching out to you multiple times because something comes up in Kate's class and there's the students on the border and she might say, well, does this student attend their meetings? Are they on time? Things like that. So those are life skills that we're helping reinforce with you all. So we're part of your team, your support team. We could be the person that helps write a letter of recommendation for you when you graduate. So be very mindful of all of the deadlines that you're given because we all do work as a team and that will definitely help you in your future. And to be successful at Purdue, I know everything's virtual and this is virtual tonight. Your orientation session will be virtual, but read those things because it has a lot of really, really helpful information in there. And advisors like faculty, if we've provided you information either virtually or a written document, please read it. If you ask us a question that's already in there, the answer will be, we'll refer you to that document on the website or that virtual document that's in your orientation process. Because each program at Purdue is providing you the information and the experts of their area. So read that. And if there's a question you have after you're done with that, absolutely, we're going to help you. Everybody has individual cases. That's what we're here for. But do your homework in class and with your advising appointments because as all the instructors said, this curriculum changes often. So the curriculum you receive when you enter Purdue, we will honor it maybe with different courses. So how you learn that is through your advisors. What courses meet my degree requirements? We're your partner, but ultimately you're the one earning that degree. We can't make you sign up for the class as much as we want to. If someone's missing a class, we'd like to put it in, but we can't. That's the student's responsibility. So be responsible in all aspects, advising classes, your clubs, and just you'll be a well-rounded student when you graduate from Purdue. I can't say enough. I'm a Purdue alum. Go Boilers.
Thank you. Andrea.
Yeah, so I would say it's very important for you to come with a positive attitude and be excited about your classes, set some goals in the beginning of the semester, write a schedule, I think it is very important to write a schedule and try to follow it, actually follow it, because it's important to be better at time management. And then I would also say that in your first year, you should think about what type of activities you would like to do during the year. So definitely search for some cool clubs that you want to get involved with. If it's either about your major or something else, that's fun.
All right, thank you. Evan?
Yeah, everything that has been said is great so far, that time management, finding the community on campus. I will say one organization that helps with that is Boiler Gold Rush. That's our student orientation program for incoming freshmen. You move in a week before classes start, you get to know campus, you get to meet your friends for the first few weeks of school. And it's just a great way to plug you into campus and show you those resources that you can use later in the semester. And then my advice for students is just to find something you're passionate about and explore those things. You know, these classes a lot of times will spark an idea, and then you can go take that and maybe make a personal project out of it. Just this past week, I was working on a personal project. In my cryptography class, the professor said something that sparked an idea, and we were walking and talking after the class for like 20 minutes, just me bouncing ideas off of him. So that's just telling you these faculty members, these professors, they're amazing. And find your passion, go for it, whether that's student organizations, that's personal projects. You can explore pretty much anything here at Purdue.
Thank you. All right, let's hear our last words from our graduates. Nick.
Yeah, I think real quickly, number one would be get involved. And you heard from several people, just get involved. A lot of different opportunities. There's all kinds of things available at Purdue. Number two, I'd say get to know your classmates. You're going to be going through a lot. I mean, it is a tough program. You'll find yourself helping others. You'll be a help to others. Really get to know them. I graduated 35 years ago, and I have friends today that I was in classes with. I actually talked to today. So, and then the third thing I would say is attend that job fair. Hopefully, we'll do the job fair in person in September. Definitely, you know, even as a freshman, come to that job fair and come see me. I'll be there.
All right, thank you. And last but not least, Troy.
Hi, thanks. The one advice I can give from my personal experience is apply early and often to internships. And you don't just need to apply at the big companies like Amazon, Microsoft. I applied at 27 out of 26 companies, or 27 companies, and I got shot down 26 times. I landed on a small IT consulting company out of northern Wisconsin. That led to another one, which led to another job at Microsoft. And along the way, like as Phil said, like get to know your faculty. I still keep in touch with my CIT faculty advisor. We get dinners, we text. He's even sent my kid baby clothes. And professionals, both like from your experience at Microsoft, your internships, even like as Nick was saying, your classmates. I have classmates that are directors and VPs now at companies. These experiences, like when they go to look to build new teams or hire people, they're going to pull from what they know, and what they know is a family at Purdue. And this family is here to help both current prospective students. So take advantage of it, reach out if you're on the fence, and you feel free to reach out to me if you need anything.
Okay, with that, I think we can wrap up our conversation tonight. Thank you again to our viewers for joining us, as we hope you gained some good insight about Computer and Information Technology Department. Thank you again to our awesome panelists for joining us and sharing their insights and experiences as well. And thanks as well to Mark Holstrom, who was answering the questions in the chat room, and to John, our technical director, for all the behind the scenes work. As I mentioned before, please feel free to send an email to techrecruit@purdue.edu if you have any additional questions about us in the CIT, the Polytechnic, or Purdue. If you haven't already joined us for one of our admitted students sessions or student-to-student chat. We still have a few more coming up in the near future, in addition to a student life focus YouTube live broadcast coming up 1 week from tonight for all students admitted into the Polytechnic majors. You can find this information of those engagement opportunities on our admitted student page. You can also watch this broadcast again by going to polytechnic.purdue.edu/live. On that same page, you will find a new list of replays of earlier broadcasts sorted by topic. Just a quick reminder, your deadline to accept your offer of admissions is May 1st. Thank you all again for joining us, and have a great rest of your night, and boiler up.